This is 2022's Good Morning. Warning, spoilers ahead. We open up to Apple telling London that today is the biggest day of his life, and she warns him not to get too high. As the camera focuses on the city, we see that the tarot card has landed on London's phone, and Apple sends him a text that reads, "I wish I didn't have to do this through text." Then she follows it up with a good morning text. Alright, for one, when you see that first text, I'm sure your heart stops for a second too. Even seeing someone else get the text seems to remind you of a not-so-pleasant conversation. Now, the spelling of morning is what really gets London. She spells it with a U. Autocorrect? Maybe, but that wouldn't be my first thought. As London reads the text, he starts to wake up more and more, and he tries to call her. The call goes straight to voicemail, and he tells her that he's thoroughly confused. He brushes it off as an interesting thing to worry about later, and he goes about his morning routine. He takes a cold shower to try and reduce the stress, and he talks about how he's the lead actor of the #1 reality series on TV. He talks about how everything reminds him of Apple, and she's the only thing that he thinks about. When he finishes getting ready, he goes to check his phone, and he finds that she still hasn't said anything to him. This is definitely where patience is key, but even the most patient person starts to lose it in this situation. Do you call again? Send a text? Ignore it? Go find her in person and ask her what the heck the cryptic text messages mean? There's no right answer. Out in the kitchen, Dylan is heating up some food, and he proceeds to throw up on the microwave as it finishes cooking. London asks Dylan if Apple's text looks like a breakup text, and he tells him straight that it definitely does. London tries to talk to him about the situation, but Dylan is more interested in his food than anything. He ends up passing out in his bowl of Fruit Loops, and a woman puts a snorkel in his mouth to make sure he doesn't die on them. London answers the door, and he finds Olive, who's his new assistant. He welcomes her into his house, and they take the elevator up to his room. As soon as London hops off the elevator, Leo pops up and smacks the cup of coffee out of London's hand. That is a quick way to start a fight. You don't ever come after my coffee in the morning. Plus, now someone has to clean that up, and it's definitely not going to be London. I feel like this is one of those jobs that Olive will have to handle. It turns out that Leo doesn't trust anyone, and that's the reason that London has to get a new assistant. It turns out that Olive milked a goat directly to get the milk that's in the coffee, but London actually likes oat milk instead of goat milk. Olive heads out on another coffee run, and London tells Leo about Apple's texts. On top of that, London is actually waiting to hear back from his agent about getting a Batman role. Leo takes London to his zen room, and he has him relax on his bed while he plays London his new style of music. It's called Buddha Trap, and I'd actually listen to that. The last thing I expected was for Leo to set his tapestry on fire. It's like his music sent you to a calm, happy place, just to throw you into emergency mode. Then Kennedy pops up, and we find out that London was actually her first investor after moving to the city. She came up with an exercise program that takes extreme to a new level. She puts the fire out for them, but London and Leo head to the roof to get some fresh air. Leo takes his time to try and plug his music into London's next movie, but they get interrupted when Apple calls. London tries to talk to her about her mysterious text, but their call gets interrupted when Trippy hits London in the face with a water balloon. Again, that's a solid way to get yourself hit. He just destroyed his phone with that giant water balloon. Not to mention, who actually walks around with a water balloon waiting for people to show up? It's like a sacred rule that you don't get someone wet if they actively have their phone on them. That's why people ask people if they have their phones on them before going to throw them in the pool. Just then, Olive shows up, and London has her put his phone in rice to see if it'll still work. While Olive handles that, London goes to see if Kennedy has Apple's number. This poor world that doesn't memorize anyone's number anymore. It turns out that Kennedy is getting ready to move out, and London really wants her to rethink things. Kennedy makes it clear that it's just time for him to grow up, and he's going to have to take care of his irresponsible friends on his own from now on. London helps her pack up her car, and she says goodbye as she moves across the street. Back inside, Angel is practicing piano, and London tells him that he thinks he has to go full method to get this Batman role. The more they walk, we find out that Angel got hit in the head with a water balloon by Trippy some time ago too. Who allows Trippy to chill out by the pool anymore? He's a serial water ballooner, and no one really appreciates anyone who uses water balloons as their primary weapon. After Trippy helps London film some tryouts for roles, Olive lets him know that it's time to meet his agent. The crew hops in the car, and we find that London's stalker, Sabrina, is parked outside waiting for him. They wave to Sabrina as they head into town, and they eventually meet London's agent, Maxine. She's one of Hollywood's biggest agents, and she's also one of the town's biggest germaphobes. Maxine gives London the script for the Batman audition, and she tells him that he has a meeting at 5 o'clock that evening. He tells her that he can't go until he figures out things with Apple, but she points out that this is a meeting that he can't pass up. He agrees to be at the meeting later, and the crew heads out. When they get outside, the paparazzi are waiting, and they ask how things with Apple are going since they were able to spot her looking sad just a little bit ago. Feel like celebrities find out more about their own lives from the paparazzi than from actually living their life. These people know the front page news before it even happens, and they literally create the news half the time. The crew heads to the Everly, and they find Barry waiting outside at his valet job. London asks Barry if he knows where Apple went, and Barry points out that the only reason they know his name is because he wears the name tag. London gives Barry the slip, and Angel suggests that they just go to Apple's house to check on things. When they get there, London can't get an answer, and Angel suggests that he should break into her house to get some answers. London tries to say no, but he ends up hopping in through the bathroom window. After London lets the guys in, Angel finds a bouquet of flowers on the table, and Leo breaks a vase that he found on the mantle. Yeah, it's an urn. Turns out it was the cousin that no one really likes. But it gets better. The entire shelf breaks, and the rest of Apple's dead family comes crashing onto the ground. If Apple wasn't breaking up with him before, she definitely is now. They gather the family's remains, and they hop in the car. When they get back to the house, Olive comes out with a blower, and blows Apple's family off them. Once inside, Angel comes up with the bright idea to smoke a lot of weed to use the ashes as a substitute for Apple's dead family. They decide to get Fat Joe to help them smoke all of the weed. Soon, Kennedy shows up to help them smoke too. Fat Joe smokes so much that he thinks the lobster is talking to him, and London thinks that the joint is peer pressuring him. Eventually, Olive shows up with a new phone, and she asks London if he's read the Batman script. London points out that they're doing what they're doing, and he has her glue the urns back together. When he logs into his new phone, he finds that Apple has been trying to get a hold of him, and he tries to call her back. He ended up getting too high and he passed out in the middle of the conversation. This is all a testament to the worst possible outcome for everything. Now London sends some of the guys to put the urns back into Apple's place, and he has Olive drive him and Angel to his audition. I don't know the requirements to be Batman, but I really don't think he's going to land it now. But the quality of Batman actors did slip there for a minute. Maybe he has a chance. When Olive gets London to the audition, he calls Leo to see how things went, and Leo tells him that he needs to come over right now if he cares about the relationship. London calls Maxine to make a story up for why he plans on being late, but he doesn't know that Maxine is parked right next to him. He has Olive drive them away quickly, and when he gets to Apple's place, he finds out that she just left with a huge dude with a neck pillow. He tries to debate whether or not he wants to be Batman, or if he wants to risk his career to get Apple back. And he decides that he wants love more than the role. Nothing against love, but being Batman is being Batman. There's only a handful of people that can officially say that they've done it. I don't think that's an opportunity that anyone should really pass up. Also, why hasn't he tried to call her again since he woke up? She answered pretty quickly the first time. When London gets to the airport, he finds a big dude with a neck pillow that looks like the guy from the picture, but this guy is flying with Dennis Rodman. London tries to act big and tough, but neck pillow guy puts him down quickly. Suddenly, Sabrina pops up and sprays the neck pillow dude in the face with pepper spray. See? Having a stalker can pay off eventually. Seriously though, if you have a stalker, go get help. Get rid of them. Back with Olive and the gang, Leo decides that he's not going to let London miss the Batman meeting, and he comes up with a crazy idea that actually could have worked. Leo wears his Buddhist trap DJ helmet and pretends to be London. He could just say that he's gone full method for the part, and it could work. Also, of all the friends to pull this off, Leo honestly makes the most sense, unless Trippy shows up and pelts the director with one of his infamous water balloons. The crew sits in the car and watches the meeting. Meanwhile, Sabrina the stalker stitches up London's face in her car, and she explains that she found him because she grabbed his old phone out of the trash. Even London comes to the realization that the only person that'll be there for you is your stalker. Sad, but true. London goes to call the crew, but his phone is dead. He goes into the glove compartment for the phone charger, and he finds that Sabrina actually keeps a bunch of gloves in her glove compartment. London has her take him back to his house, and she says that she was headed there already. Back at the meeting, things with Leo are going okay, but the rest of the crew is higher than a kite in the car. A cop pulls up and recognizes the car from the break-in at Apple's house, and he has Dylan meet him in the road. Dylan thinks that this has to do with the weed, and he points out that he can smoke wherever he wants. When he tries to offer some to the policeman, he gets slammed against the hood. Poor Dylan feels betrayed. He even calls out that he trusted the officer while he's getting handcuffed. Then our makeshift elephant tries to step in, and he gets arrested too. We all know that this will work out in the end. Somehow it always does. On the ride to his house, London asks Sabrina why she stalks him, and she points out that she just feels a connection to him. The two of them actually share a comfortable conversation, and he decides to try and call Apple. It goes straight to voicemail now, and Sabrina tries to say that Apple sounds like she sucks. When Sabrina gets as close as she can due to the restraining order, she parks to let London out. Hey, Apple's here! And she is not a happy camper. London hops out to confront Apple about the text messages, and she points out that it's really simple. The spelling of morning was simply a typo, and the first message was to say that she wished that she could say good morning in person instead of text. Aw, you would have thought that they could be a cute couple. But then I remember that he was worrying about 3 members of her family earlier that day. Apple decides that they need a break, and she leaves him there in the street. When London goes inside, he listens to a recording of Maxine that has her saying that he's fired, and Olive heads out for the day. Later, London's friends show up to see how he's doing after the events of the day, and London tells him that this is the worst day of his life. When Dylan asks about Dylan and Leo, he finds out that they got arrested. London calls Kennedy to help them, and after she hears about all the crap that happened since she moved out, she pops in to say how excited she is to get to spend her first day on her own helping them. After Kennedy helps Dylan and Leo get out of jail, she heads home while the rest of them look for a party. Apple wasted no time in having a good time. Since she's single, she heads to a raging party at YG's house, and Dylan sees the story she posts from there. How many of you would try to get Apple back? How many of you would snort a line to get into the house to see her? These are the people we need to watch out for. Just kidding, kind of. Once inside, they head to a bar by the pool to get a drink, and they spot someone that looks to be Drake with a big snake around their neck. Angel and Leo head over to take a picture, but Angel calls out fake Drake. He shouldn't have done that, because fake Drake's snake bites him in the neck. It turns out that they didn't even make it inside yet. It was all a trip. Fat Joe doesn't even come out of it. That's strong ketamine. They take Fat Joe to Barry to have him pull him out of the K-hole, and Barry tells them that Kennedy is upstairs. All of them head upstairs to her room, and Barry smacks Fat Joe out of his trippy coma. When they head out to look for Apple, they leave Barry at the curb, and London tries to text Apple again. Give up! She's just not that into you. Maybe I should do that movie next. London finds another post that Apple posted, and they head to a cafe to try and find her. It turns out that she's not there, but the guys decide to take a break from all of the shenanigans to get a bite to eat, since they're there already. While they sit in the booth, they try to show how things could have gone even worse than it really did. And soon, Olive shows up in her pajamas. It turns out that it's Maxine on the phone, and Olive hands it over to London. Maxine tells him that the viral video of him getting punched by Neck Pillow Guy actually ended up winning him the role of Batman. That's all it takes? Someone, put a neck pillow on, come meet me at the airport and knock me out. Make sure someone's filming it though. I'm not getting sucker punched for free. Must be how Ben Affleck got the part. London tries to call Apple to tell her the good news, and she actually answers. He tells her to meet him at the spot they had their first kiss, and he heads out there to meet her. Things look like they're looking up for him. I spoke too soon. He ends up crashing into her on the road. Don't text and drive. When Apple and London wake up, they're in the hospital, and they're definitely messed up. Apple tells him good morning, and then the credits roll. But wait, there's more. The end credits scene shows that it's actually all the bad season finale of his original TV show. This movie seemed like a modern-day rendition of all those feel-good 2000s buddy movies. I'm down for it. Give it a shot. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more like this one. Comment what you think I should watch next, and I'll see you in the next video.